particularly for the aged in all the countries. And then also, I'd like to thank the participants from FSM and Palau. I hope that members of the Parliament and the government can stay and listen to what they have to say about how they've dealt with some of their pension issues. I understand from looking at some of their presentation materials this morning that they started, I think in both countries, government started making additional contributions to those funds because they were in a kind of difficult straits earlier, but the additional funding, I think, has turned them around. So they're in less dire straits than they maybe were about 5 years ago. So it's going to be good to actually listen to them and as they share their ideas and explanations of how they've managed to turn around the condition of their funds. I think it's very important for our colleagues from the Marshall Islands to understand how some of these approaches can work and what's required. So that's all I have to say. Again, thank you to Misa Sane and her staff for their work in putting all this together. Thank you.
Acting President, Honorable Madeline Zacharias, Honorable Ministers and Spouses, Honorable Senators and Spouses, Mr. Vice Speaker, Heroes and Laborers, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Reverend Milton Lamley, and members of the clergy, members and consultants from the Pacific Financial Technical Assistance Center and International Monetary Fund, representatives from our neighboring states of FSM and Palau, members from the private sector, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Yahweh and good morning to you all. Notice I say good morning. It would have been a great morning if IMF would bring us the rain that we really need to mitigate the drought situation which I believe we are experiencing today. As it's our custom, and is still through upbringing, let us all humbly give thanks to our Heavenly Father for His many gracious blessings. I am very honored to be here today, this morning, and I wish to thank the Marshall Islands Social Security Administrator, the Administrator, Mrs. Howe, and the MISA Board of Directors for the cordial invite to take part in the opening ceremony for the Social Security Pension Workshop. The people of Majuro and the Majuro local government is honored you've chosen us as your venue to try to iron out the many issues and challenges our nations are facing today with their Social Security and retirement systems. We all know it is not an easy task. It has been some time since our nations emerged as independent countries, and we have encountered challenges countless times and still are today. We know it will take time to remedy and resolve these difficult and complex issues we face with our Social Security system. All participants here are for a very important task. Those of us who strive to pave an easier way for our loved ones, we heavily rely and depend on these Social Security pensions and benefits. We admire this joint collaborations. We are counting on all of you participants for your aspirations, for options and great outcome from your workshop. As Mayor, I, along with my Executive Board, the Heroes and Laborers of Majuro, and members of the Majuro local government, wishes to join the chairperson in extending our warmest welcome to all of you. It is our pleasure to have you here on Majuro. Hope you will find Majuro hospitable. And I hope you enjoy your stay here with us. And please, please spend more money while you're here. Thank you very much, Akamolala.
I have a very long statement. This is a serious group. I don't know whether it's a lack of, due to lack of caffeine, sleep, or just plain blue Monday. At the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank Misa, chairperson, and members of the board, and Sani and her staff, and everybody else, and inviting the President's office to be here this morning. Obviously, I'm not President Hilda Heine, so you have to please bear with me. Ignan modala kamolol ani jum ko wala gupem gagin chameri loan kile kan George Monagawan, Lanjab, Tikajabajan Kajuit, Kamolo Reverend Vidan Lamalik, Nan Kobal. Ilautok, Mene Ejagoji Nagilodan, President Hilda Haine, Rowan Cabradawan, Ilang Royan, Minister Rowan, Aberjin Luchipon and Rainin. Ginan kile oleh rotel lawan kau tu je rojoran speaker yo Virgin Senator Ro Mata Mayor Larry Jack Rojat lo Raceban Kenoan Wana itu listing kile yem ane kagarubi ilo kuwai ka awalap lo chono troro kelem kamolo kanami ko ba lo chipone raini. I would also like to offer my special recognition and welcome to the participants from all over the states and our neighbors from Palau and FSM who have traveled a long way to be with us this morning. Komo Dada and welcome on behalf of the government and people of the Marshall Islands. Last but not least, I would like to acknowledge our sponsors, IMF through the Pacific Financial Technical Assistance Center through the IMF, Bank of Marshall Islands. Mr. Chen is here, and everyone who was involved in organizing under the leadership of Administrator Sani Aho and Board of Directors, and the others involved mentioned by the Chairperson, Chief Secretary's Office, the Jalai Cabinet, Ministry of Finance, MIVA, for making all the arrangements and logistical supports and related activities that you will partake throughout the week. This week marks an important point for our social security system, and this gathering today allows all of us here in the Marshall Islands and the region to share our experiences and perhaps learn from each other. I am hopeful that it will also provide some optional solutions, as mentioned earlier, that you can then bring back to your respective governments. Like most of you, I believe we can no longer afford emphasis on the word afford, to sit idle and watch while the future of our children and their grandchildren continues in the state it is today. And the buck stops here. This is just the beginning of the process. I understand Marjolie's version of this workshop and public forum will take place in the months to come. So as you embark on your week-long deliberations and review options available for consideration, I wish to reaffirm this government's commitment to working closely on the recommended outcomes of this workshop and the public forum, and reiterate our support as you also explore creative ways that may include local investments that are not subject to the conditions of the global market. A public forum will take place after the workshop, as I understand, followed by further dialogue with members of the Cabinet and the DJLA. The Cabinet will task a number of individuals from both governments and our civil society to work in a joint and collaborative effort to review recommendations regarding possible restructuring options that will allow long-term sustainability of the Social Security and Retirement Fund, and prepare necessary steps to address the pending legislation for Nadijala's consideration starting this August. I wish to encourage everyone to participate and share your thoughts, your stories in these workshops and the one-day public forum. I understand sometimes this is to the administrators. Sometimes all your work often goes unnoticed. But I would like to take this opportunity to applaud your respective board of directors and administrators and supportive team and staff who have worked tirelessly over the years and diligently to safeguard and monitor the funds our people have invested over the years. The role you play in our respective communities is commendable, and one we should all take a step back to acknowledge today. You are indeed an important part of the fabric that weaves us together as a community. You all have continued to set the bar high for others in government, and I am speaking of the excellent audit performances and your continued example in cutting expenses and raising revenue towards our funds. There are many untold stories that even you may not be aware of on how you have helped and touched numerous members of our community. And this is a testament to all the hard work you have put into the system through trial and error, as well as having the right people on your team. As we all know today, you have technical people that are ready and at your disposal. Today it is imperative that we stop and take a closer look at our respective Social Security systems and retirement fund programs and review whether they will withstand the test of time. I look at it this way. The course has been set. The captain has called all men on deck to carry out the orders, and now it's up to the crew and all of us to carry out the instructions or face hitting the huge iceberg in front of us. Sounds like the Titanic movie, yeah? We need to set and take bold steps and set realistic goals and objectives. Ones that are based on the world market and the financial forecast of these funds, or end up with no funds for our future generation. We need to identify gaps so that fair and equitable returns are addressed, especially to those who are continuing to contribute to these funds. We need to make sure that decisions taken are mindful of all different groups within our society, including their concerns. So as you deliberate this week in this collaborative process, especially with the help of the right technical people and partners, I'm sure that we can all be assured of a positive way forward. That said, best wishes throughout this week, and I look forward to the outcome of this important workshop and public forum. And again, we stand ready to consider your recommendations as well as hear your thoughts from members of your colleagues in the region and technical staff and our own MISA administrators. I wish to welcome once more our friends and colleagues from Palau and FSM, and thank you for joining us in these very timely meetings. We welcome you with open arms and wish you the best throughout your stay in Majuro. Komodada M. Charama.
Retirement fund will be completely exhausted by 2023. During times of crisis, where the livelihood of our people are at jeopardy, our core beliefs, values, and interests are severely tested. Throughout our discussions, we will experience moments of heated debate, frustration, and even anger. But only until we are unified in one thought, until we search for a resolution to this problem with the eye of truth, and until we become selfless enough to accept our economic reality, will we be able to make change. Time is no longer on our side, and I urge all of you, especially our leaders, to have the will and courage to do what is right for the future of our country. To our participants, I would like to close on a happier note by extending a warm welcome and Yahweh to all of you and wish you a very productive and successful meeting. May the Lord's divine guidance and blessings be with all of us throughout this week. Komolbada.